Stop. Rayne here with the word of the day. And the word of the day on this, well, excuse me, not December, January 7th. Good Lord, it has been December for 7 whole days. Come on. January 7th, 2019. The word of the day is demotic. And its definition in line 1 is of or related to written, a simplified form of ancient Egyptian hieratic writing, or relating to people or especially their speech, popular, common. So I think the word vernacular is used in that similarity. Let's see. Of or relating to the modern form of Greek that is based on everyday speech. So that would be, let's see, former words that demotic is a root of would be democracy, demographics, or demography. Same things. Demotic is often used of everyday forms of language as opposed to literary or highbrow versions. It entered English in the early 1800s and originally designated from the ancient Egyptian cursive script by the 5th century BCE and had come into use everywhere in Egypt for business and for literary purposes, in contrast to the more complex hieratic script retained by the clergy. Demotic has a newer specialized sense as well as referring to a form of modern Greek that is based on everyday speech that since 1976 has been the official language of Greece. So, in that, similarly, demotic could be, referring to older languages. So demotic Egyptian or hieroglyphics. Rosetta Stone features 3 columns of the same inscription of 3 languages: the Greek hieroglyphs, demotic Egyptian, and is the text of decree written by the priests by 196 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Ptolemy the Fifth. Ashley Lime, BBC.com, 23 November 2018. When it came to make her own wine, she continued taking the natural path, bent earnestly to the task of revitalizing California winemaking with a demotic punk rock spirit. Okay, so demotic use in that sense is used to describe wine, that it's a traditional thing, and punk rock spirit. Okay, I don't really get the use of that one being, well, it's accurate, but still, it just doesn't seem like it fits there nicely. Demotic used to describe ancient practices or languages or form of speech, that's more up its actual definition and its intended use here. So demotic Egyptian, the hieroglyphics or hieroglyphs, and the Greek languages. So where the examples of the 3 features of the columns, the same inscription in 3 languages on the Rosetta Stone. Examples, blah, blah, blah. So going up from that to its final, let's see, I'm going to do another word. Let's do previous. Okay, so this was word, we missed word of the day for January 6th. We're going to say it's paradigm. That's Papa Alpha Romeo Alpha Delta India Golf Mike. And the use of the word or definition, examples and pattern, especially an outstandingly clear or typical example of an archetype. So paradigm would be basically something that's very well known and very well understood. So the paradigm, whatever it is, the status quo, quid pro quo, things that exist and happen in nature that are the norm, basically. An example of a conjugation or deletion or declination showing a word in all its inflectional forms. Philosophical and theoretical framework of a scientific school or discipline within which theories, laws, and generalizations and experiments are performed to support of them or those theories are formulated broadly in a philosophical and theoretical framework of any kind, known as a paradigm. So that's the first, second, and third definition of the word paradigm. We'll hear it said by the computer now. Paradigm. There we go. It's quite a good one. So paradigm traces to a Greek verb meaning to show and has been used in English to mean example or pattern since the 15th century. Some debate exists, however, about what kind of example qualifies as a paradigm. Some people say it's a typical example, that while others insist that it must be outstanding or perfect, for example. The scientific community has added to the confusion by using it to mean a theoretical framework, in a sense popularized by American scientist Thomas S. Kuhn in the second edition of the influential book The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, published in 1970. I've read that book, very good. In that work, Kuhn admitted that he had used paradigm in 22 different ways. In some usage, commentators now advise avoiding the term entirely on the grounds that it is overused, because the word paradigm itself has a few different definitions, and it's kind of convoluted in the third one. So when you look at things, a pattern especially outstandingly clear or typical example of, or an archetype, would be a paradigm or example of a paradigm. But what a paradigm would be, in its solid definition, I would say would be the best one. Let's see. The best and most overused example of this word is the third definition of it. So the philosophical and theoretical framework, theoretical framework of a scientific school of or discipline within which theories, laws, and generalizations and the experiments performed by and in support of them were formulated broadly by a philosophical or theoretical framework of any kind. That third definition has a lot of words in there that are like, whoa, what? So what it means is that paradigm is used to describe a way in which the scientific method is used to describe something or happenstance that has been used in a philosophical or theoretical manner within the framework of those two disciplines to describe such actions or reactions or expectations or theories of things to come, predictions, based on the paradigm presented by the evidence. So that would be a pretty good use of that word in that example. Much more key and much more defined than the other example they used. I was kind of like, wow, really? Still, paradigms are everywhere. It's kind of like a hierarchical pattern. You see this pattern in the framework of your social construct. You can see that in the framework of, psychology. You can see that in the framework of politics. You can see that in the framework of art and music. And the examples can go on and on for how this can be used. But the truth of the matter is, its more commonly used definition is used to describe the set of circumstances which surround things that are predictable. So it's a paradigm of this, a paradigm of that, a paradigm of so and so forth and so on and such, and goes on down the line. So that's pretty much the way the word is used commonly. And what it was intended for was to explain or be a conjugation and declination, showing a word in all of its inflectional forms. So a paradigm of a word would be singular, plural, used to describe a person, place, or thing, or it. All of those things, the variations of the duality and the inflectional forms of a word is contingently a paradigm. So we'll move on from that. Go back further, one more word. Now, this is one I didn't cover also from January 5th. It's called, the word itself is eclectic.
Eclectic.
There we go. There's the automatic version of it, or the pronounced version of it through the computer. Eclectic. It is Echo Charlie, Lima, Echo Charlie, Tango, India, Charlie. Now, these words in specific order, I'm going backwards from the days, obviously, but I wanted to cover some of the days I missed. So first definition of eclectic is a collection that is composed of elements drawn from various sources. Also, a heterogeneous collection. So a heterogeneous would be specifically, a little different from eclectic, but eclectic is when selecting appears to be in the best of various doctrines. So methods or styles. So that means eclectic collection or heterogeneous collection of things would be something specifically minded to one particular style or design, but in many different variant forms of presentation of that design. So if you're looking for an eclectic feel in a home, not just a hodgepodge of things that don't really match, the eclectic view of it is going to cover cohesiveness between each various doctrine and a method of which the art is exposed to its different styles. Also columnized under its design is eclectic by the artist itself. Could be a derivative of that as well. So we're going to discover its roots now. Eclectic comes from the Greek eklekitos, meaning selective, from the verb eklegen or gain, to collect or select, to elect. Yeah, there we go. Eclectic was originally applied in the ancient philosophers who were not committed to any single system of philosophy, but instead selected whichever doctrines pleased them to form the school of thought. Later, the word's use spread to cover several selective natures. Hard by the central slab, thick books. Hard by the central slab is the thick books, diverse with its which the true eclectic mind knows how to group and gather out of each their frequent wisdoms. In the 19th century example of the poem by Arthur Joseph Munby, for example, the word is applied to literature lovers who cull selective words from libraries. So let's see. Let's go back and read that from the beginning. Hard by the central slab is thick with books, diverse, but which the true eclectic mind knows how to group and gather out of each their frequent wisdoms. And I think I got through that a little bit better this time. Good Lord, just the way they put it here is kind of hard to understand the flow of it, but whatever, hey, typesetting. Now, let's see, another example of it. For eclectic, this one's more applied to the physicality. Since December 2016, including the most recent property deal, Google has now spent at least $237 million buying an eclectic array of industrial and retail sites, vacant lots, and even residential properties. Jorge Avalos, the Mercury News, San Jose, California, December 3rd, 2018. So the new downtown restaurant offers an eclectic menu of items at reasonable prices. That was another example that the eclectic menu of items is kind of bad for restaurants. Don't ever do that. But yeah, I do see the use of eclectic being properly used there in that sense, and also with the recent news here about Google, 237 million buying eclectic array of industrial, retail, and vacant lots, and even residential properties. Like, why? That's crazy. Yeah. But that's the definition of the word in the examples of eclectic today. So we're going to end the word of the day with that. And I would like to thank you for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And, hey, it's Monday, so just drink your coffee and chill. I'll have a cooking episode up probably sometime today or tomorrow. Enjoy. Thanks again.